Hi people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new reading vlog because I have secured a copy of Katabasis, which, if you didn't know, is Olaf Kuang's latest book. And this book, I believe, follows maybe like a college student or a grad student or something, because she has to descend into hell to receive a letter of recommendation from her recently deceased professor, I think, and her academic rival is also there for some reason, and I'm assuming that they're going to fall in love, I think. And I just said in my last video that I don't enjoy academic rivals to lovers, but I do trust Rebecca's reputation, because the reason as to why I'm doing a reading vlog dedicated to this book is because last year I read Babel for the first time and I thought it was excellent and so brilliant, and then I went through the rest of her books. So after that I read the Popular trilogy, which I absolutely loved, and also Yellowface. And also I heard recently that there was a recent adaptation announcement for Katabasis prior to the book even coming out, although the EPUB for this book was leaked in March at the beginning of this year, and so many of my friends have already read it. But anyway, all that to say, the adaptation announcement labeled this book as a satirical fantasy, which I was not really aware of, that it was supposed to be satirical and not serious the way that Babel was, because in my head I was kind of expecting this book to be more like Babel than Yellowface, if that makes any sense. I don't know, but basically this book is an adult dark academia fantasy, and I'm so excited to read it because I really trust Rebecca's reputation. And even though the reviews of this book, again because of the leaked EPUB spreading around on Twitter, like the reviews were polarizing. Either people absolutely loved it or they absolutely hated it and thought it was mid and too on the nose, which I heard also happened when Babel came out. So anyway, all that to say, I have super high expectations and I'm so excited to start it. So I've just started this book and they're basically explaining like how the professor died and how it's like basically Alice's fault or whatever. And like my first impression of Alice as a character is that she's very like academically driven, and essentially this paragraph like summarizes her entire character right now to me. And I'm curious as to where her character arc is going to go, because like from what I understand, she's been defined, I guess, by her academia, by her intelligence her entire life. So this is all that she's known and this is all that she has. And like when you're defined by one thing your whole life and that's something that people always associate with you, sometimes it's hard to like get out of this box that other people and also frankly yourself has boxed yourself into, if that makes any sense. But sometimes you have to like get out of that and pivot and like start something new. But I think that sometimes people are maybe perfectionists and they don't want to start something new because they're afraid that they'll be bad at it. But that's the thing, anything that you start for the first time, you'll be bad at it to begin with, because you were once bad at the thing that like people have always associated yourself with. But people like are sometimes too stubborn and they don't want to, like, I don't know, it's framed as like giving up and starting over, but there's no shame in that. There's nothing to be embarrassed about when it comes to starting over or pivoting or finding a new hobby or a new thing or whatever. You know what I mean? Anyway, I digress. But that's my first impression of Alice so far. As for Peter, I don't know if I ship them. Like, I know that obviously they're going to get together because they're the only two characters right now that have been introduced. But like, I don't know. Anyway, there's that right now. I'm like 40 pages in. I'm like 6 chapters into this book so far, and my gosh, I have so much more to read. This book is so lofty, and frankly, the world building is so confusing because it's so abstract, and I felt like Rebecca put in every single inspiration for hell and every single description of hell that has ever been researched, and every single mythology and like philosopher or whatever, and she put them all in one book. It's kind of like how when Ryan the Last Dragon came out, people critiqued the world building for being a mishmash of all of these different Asian cultures instead of being one specific Asian culture. If that makes any sense. I don't know if it does because Raya and the Last Dragon is such an underrated Disney movie and I absolutely loved it, but it came out like post-pandemic in 2021, so a lot of people did not see it in theaters, and then when it came out on Disney Plus later on, people had not seen it, so they didn't end up watching it. I think it's so good though, and I also think it's one of the more gay Disney movies, which makes it even better naturally, even though of course you could argue that every single Disney princess is queer. But anyway, I digress. Basically, I am enjoying this book so far, and I'm enjoying it because of like Alice's characterization and her dynamic with Peter and everything. But what I don't really understand is like the magic and the world building and like the magic system and how it all works. Because for me, I've never once given hell or reincarnation or death, honestly, like a second thought. So I've never really imagined or researched what hell or frankly heaven looks like. So like all this world building is so completely new and abstract to me, and I am having a hard time like visualizing it in my head, because typically whenever I'm reading a book, whether it's fantasy or contemporary or historical fiction or sci-fi or horror or whatever, like it's like a movie playing in my head. And this, it's not a movie playing in my head. It's just the dialogue between Alice and Peter, and it's not really so much like the setting or the visuals or anything like that, because I'm having a hard time visualizing it and understanding it and like contextualizing it, since there's no time or perspective and they're just wandering around the different like levels or layers of hell. I don't know. Does that make any sense? Because this book isn't really making that much sense to me right now. But I have like 30 more chapters to read, so I have to just walk in. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to DNF this book. The difference between Alice's relationship with Grimes and Peter's relationship with Grimes is very interesting to me, because I feel as if Grimes like took advantage of Alice in Italy. Not like, I don't know, because like the way that he treated her in Italy with like the pentagram that's now permanently tattooed on her skin, that means that she now has a perfect memory, which is absolutely so insane, is so fucked up to me. Like, how dare he do that to her? Like, what? And the way that she views him as some sort of like messiah or whatever is just so odd to me, because like he's so flawed. And the fact that she can't be vulnerable with him, nor can she be vulnerable with Peter either, and share how much fucking pain she went through with that whole procedure, proves to me that like the way that Grimes has treated Alice is so incredibly unfair. It's so incredibly unfair. It's so like does anyone else think that he took advantage of her in an academic way? Like, what the fuck is going on? Especially since she blames herself for his death, but like she's so, in my opinion, she feels so guilty over it all, and she doesn't quite want to open Pandora's box about how she actually feels right now, and about how like she should not blame herself for what happened in their relationship. Is not her fault, because like even though she's an adult, he's her professor. Like, there's a power dynamic here that everyone is ignoring. You know what I mean? Like, am I the only one noticing all of this? Like, what is going on here? I don't know. So yeah, random thoughts here, I guess. So I've read 20 chapters so far, and there was a trigger warning on this book that I had been anticipating, honestly. But there's a trigger warning on this book for sexual assault. because Alice just told Peter about the whole story about how basically Peter, walked in or spotted Grimes trying to take advantage of Alice, but like sexually this time, which is disgusting and awful, and it further cements that Grimes is a piece of shit. And I've always known that, and I know some people might critique Alice by saying that she's like being stupid and whatever, but like people need to have more empathy for like victims of abuse and sexual assault, and like the way that she views him and the way that she perceives him and how she feels guilty for like his death or whatever all makes sense. It all makes sense. You know what I mean? Anyway, so many other characters and like people in authority and basically everybody in Alice's life except maybe Peter have kind of failed her because nobody has really validated her emotionally. That talk that she had with Helen afterwards pisses me off because Helen is so like annoying, and the way that she didn't even take Alice's side and started talking about how like this would ruin Grimes' future over Alice's is so, it's so wrong and it's so disrespectful and it's just so awful. Anyway, besides that, the world building is still so abstract and it's so confusing, but it's okay because it's just going over my head, so that's fine. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Hi, so I finished the book. The world building, I think, is so incredibly like dense and confusing, and maybe to some other people it's like fascinating because it's so like philosophical or whatever, but since so many of those details went completely over my head, I found the world building to be boring almost, and like retrospectively the stakes weren't there, the pacing felt uneven, the plot like didn't exist. I also felt like the romantic relationship between Peter and Alice felt almost like one-sided. I don't know, I don't think that they have really any chemistry. I think the chemistry was told to us rather than shown. And when I say one-sided, it feels as if Peter like loves her more than Alice loves him. Does that make any sense? I don't know, this book didn't really make any sense to me. But anyway, I rated it 3 stars. I also think, or rather I wonder how people who have Peter's chronic illness, like in real life, view the disability representation, because I kind of felt like Peter's backstory was told to me like he's a genius, he's awesome, he's perfect, but then like it was revealed that he has a disability which makes him weak. I don't know if that's the perspective that Rebecca was trying to tell, and I don't know if she's like disabled in real life or like if she did any research about this illness or like disability or ableism or anything in general prior to writing this book. But yeah, I would love to know how the disabled community views this book, particularly people with that chronic illness specifically. Second of all, speaking of her writing, I'm surprised, or maybe I shouldn't be surprised because I've said in the past that Rebecca is a genius, and I've loved her writing in the past when it comes to the Poppy World trilogy and Babel and Yellowface, but I'm surprised that she managed to write this without writing herself in circles, because the paradoxes and everything, to me, don't make any sense. I'm so confused, actually. Like, I'm so confused, but I am glad that Grimes is now in hell because that's where he belongs, because like I said earlier, he's a piece of shit, and I don't like him at all. And again, the romance like relies a lot on forced proximity, which we all know. I hate that trope, and I hate academic rivals to lovers, as well as enemies to lovers, and I don't know, the characters feel underdeveloped, because again, there's so much telling and not enough showing. And I wish I knew how much time passed during this book, but like there's no time in hell, so I'll never know. Anyway, those are my thoughts. So, I don't know if anything I said throughout this entire video made any sense. But with that said, I rated this book 3 stars. So basically, in conclusion, to summarize all of my thoughts, first of all of the academic references in this book bogs down the setting rather than enhances it. So all of those details were so vast and dense and vague to me, made the world building essentially so much more confusing than it really needed to be. But also, and I know this sounds contradictory, I also felt like the world building was underdeveloped. And frankly, second of all, so were the characters. I felt like so much about them, their personalities, their emotions, their actions, their motivations were told rather than shown. And like, third of all, Alice's relationship with Grimes as well as Peter's relationship with Grimes, in my opinion, could only be described as like abusive. Like, Grimes took advantage of both of them, and the way that he pitted them against each other is so incredibly unfair to both of them, as well as like an abuse of his power towards them. And it's just so weird, and I just didn't like it at all. And I know that it's supposed to make me feel icky, and it absolutely does. And third of all, or fourth of all, I don't remember what number I'm on, but anyway, the plot and the writing just weren't very strong, and I wish that like Peter had more of a perspective, honestly. And I felt like the romantic chemistry between Alice and Peter was almost like non-existent. Like, I'm supposed to believe that they're in love with each other. I definitely don't believe that at all. So yeah, anyway, in conclusion, I rated this book 3 stars, and take that as you will. Some people like absolutely love this book, but I don't really understand why, honestly. Like, I don't know, maybe they have more of a understanding of the world building of Dante, of Inferno, of Hell, of whatever. I don't know. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I rated this book 3 stars. I hope that you enjoyed this book. It disappointed me greatly, as you see. So yeah, in conclusion, if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the butterfly emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.